The silence tax. Why healing is your superpower. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. I want to begin by acknowledging something powerful that happened to me recently, an encounter that fundamentally shifted how I understand human resilience and transformation. I had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Shanquail Shropshire for the Pink Parachute Diaries podcast. Shanquail isn't just a thought leader or motivational speaker. She's a revolutionary force dismantling how we conceptualize healing, particularly for Black professionals navigating predominantly white spaces. Her work has literally saved careers, preserved mental health, and transformed organizations. When Shanquail speaks about healing being your superpower, she isn't offering a feel good platitude. She's presenting a radical paradigm shift that challenges everything we've been taught about processing pain. Tonight, I want to share with you the profound insights I gained from our conversation. Because what Shanquail has uncovered isn't just relevant for Black professionals, it's a universal truth with the power to transform how all of us approach our pain, our struggles, and ultimately our healing journey. We live in a culture that has fundamentally misunderstood healing. We've been conditioned to view it as a burden, a punishment, something to endure. Listen to the language we use. I have to do the work, or I need to process this trauma. Phrases that frame healing as an obligation rather than an opportunity. We speak of healing as if it's a tax we must pay for experiencing difficulty, a penalty for our pain. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if healing isn't the tax we pay for experiencing trauma, but rather the power up we receive that enables us to reach new levels of strength, wisdom, and connection? This is the revolutionary idea at the heart of Shanquail Shropshire's philosophy. Healing isn't your punishment, it's your superpower. The first insight from our conversation is what Shanquell calls the isolation tax of silence. Many Black professionals suffer in isolation, believing their struggles are uniquely theirs. This silence creates a prison that prevents healing and growth. During our interview, Shanquile explained how this isolation tax compounds the original trauma. When we suffer alone, we not only experience the pain of the initial wound, but also the secondary pain of believing we're the only ones going through it. This double burden crushes the spirit and prevents healing. I witnessed the power of breaking this isolation tax through the story of Letitia Clark, founder of the Pink Parachute Diaries podcast. Letitia recognized a disturbing pattern in corporate America. Talented Black women receiving pink slips while mediocre men floated away on golden parachutes. But what troubled her even more was the silence surrounding these injustices. Letitia saw Black women professionals suffering in isolation, each believing their experience was unique to them. The greatest tragedy wasn't just the injustice, it was that these women were suffering in silence while surrounded by others experiencing the exact same pain. This realization crystallized Letitia's mission. She built a platform dedicated to breaking this silence by documenting and sharing journeys of resilience, authenticity, and perseverance. She created a space where Black women could speak their truth without fear of judgment or repercussion. The results were transformative. The podcast fostered connection, healing, and hope by creating a community where Black women's achievements were celebrated and their challenges acknowledged. Listeners found validation and support through shared experiences. Some even reported that the podcast literally saved their careers and preserved their mental health when they were on the verge of giving up. Letitia's story perfectly illustrates Shanquail's point. By reframing healing as a strength rather than a weakness, we can break isolation and transform individual stories into collective empowerment. The second insight from my conversation with Shanquail is truth telling as transformation. For Black professionals, vulnerability often comes with unique risks in workplaces where emotions are policed and stereotypes threaten careers. However, embracing vulnerability and sharing authentic stories can transform trauma into triumph, turning wounds into wisdom. This truth was powerfully demonstrated in the journey of Sharita Flores. Sharita navigated workplaces where vulnerability was often mistaken for weakness, where emotions were policed with such vigilance that angry Black woman became shorthand for any display of justified emotion, and where one wrong move could reinforce stereotypes she'd spent her career trying to dismantle. Like many Black professionals, Sharita initially believed that maintaining a perfect professional facade was necessary for survival. However, the cost of this silence became too great, affecting her mental health and authentic connection with others. Rather than remaining silent, Sharita chose to articulate her experiences authentically, recognizing that silence serves no one, especially not herself. She embraced truth telling as a pathway to healing and transformation. Through sharing her story, Sharita transformed trauma into triumph. Her courage inspired others to do the same, creating ripples of empowerment throughout her professional community. Her story became a powerful example of how vulnerability can be a strength rather than a weakness. As Shanqual emphasized in our interview, when we speak our truth, we not only free ourselves, but we create permission for others to do the same. This is the transformative power of truth telling. It converts individual healing into collective liberation. The third insight from Shanquail's philosophy is community as the ultimate power up. Just as video game characters don't level up alone, healing thrives in community. Creating intentional spaces where Black professionals can share experiences, validate challenges, and celebrate achievements provides the support system needed to level up through healing. Shanquelle uses this video game metaphor brilliantly. In games, power ups aren't burdens, they're advantages that help you defeat enemies and overcome obstacles. Similarly, healing isn't a burden, but a power up that enables us to overcome life's challenges. But here's the key in multiplayer games, the most powerful advances happen when players combine their strengths. Healing works the same way. It's exponentially more powerful when done in community. This principle was beautifully illustrated in the work of Traineen Davis. Trinine has revolutionized how we think about Black excellence in predominantly white spaces by addressing not just surface level representation, but the deeper cultural transformations needed for true empowerment. Trenine recognized that diversity targets and token representation were insufficient for creating environments where Black professionals could truly thrive and heal from workplace trauma. Her journey began with her own experiences navigating predominantly white spaces, where she observed how isolation and lack of community support prevented Black professionals from healing workplace traumas and reaching their full potential. In response, Trinine developed an approach focused on transforming workplace cultures, building authentic leadership, and creating industry specific solutions to systemic barriers. She emphasized personal branding, collective advocacy, and intentional anti racism efforts. The results were remarkable. Her work fostered environments where Black excellence was not just present, but celebrated and expected, challenging the status quo and inspiring actionable change for a more inclusive future. Trinine has saved careers, transformed organizations, and preserved the mental health of countless Black professionals who were on the verge of giving up due to hostile workplace environments. Trinine's story demonstrates how healing can be a collective journey that transforms not just individuals, but entire systems. It shows how Shanquail's video game metaphor applies to professional settings where leveling up requires both personal growth and environmental change. These three insights, breaking the isolation tax of silence, embracing truth telling as transformation, and recognizing community as the ultimate power up, form the foundation of Shanquail's revolutionary approach to healing. But here's where things get really interesting. When we reframe healing as a superpower rather than a burden, everything changes. We approach our pain differently. Instead of avoiding difficult emotions, we recognize them as signals pointing us toward growth. Instead of hiding our struggles, we share them as part of our authentic story. Instead of isolating in shame, we connect in vulnerability. This shift in perspective doesn't just change how we heal, it changes what healing makes possible. As Maya Angelou wisely said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. When we embrace healing as our superpower, we free ourselves from the agony of untold stories. We transform our wounds into wisdom that can light the path for others. The implications of this philosophy extend far beyond individual healing. When we reclaim healing as our superpower, we challenge systems that benefit from our silence. We disrupt narratives that frame our emotions as problematic rather than powerful. We create spaces where authenticity is celebrated rather than penalized. So I ask you today, what pain are you carrying in silence? What wound are you hiding that, if transformed into wisdom, could heal not just you, but countless others? What power up are you denying yourself by viewing your healing as a burden rather than the source of your greatest strength? The world doesn't need more people pretending to be perfect. It needs more people brave enough to be broken open, to transform their wounds into wisdom, and to use their healing as a force for change. I challenge you today to reframe one aspect of your healing journey. Take that thing you've been avoiding, that difficult emotion, that painful memory, that challenging conversation, and approach it not as a burden, but as the very power up you need to reach your next level. Because in the end, your healing isn't just about you, it's about all the people who will be touched by your transformed wisdom, all the spaces that will be changed by your authentic presence, and all the systems that will be challenged by your refusal to remain silent. Healing isn't just your superpower, it's your responsibility. It's your gift to a world desperately in need of people brave enough to transform their pain into purpose. The tax of silence has been paid for too long. It's time to claim the dividend of your healing. It's time to level up. Thank you.